Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. This is the place where we meet real people doing real things in real time, all on purpose. So I'm so excited to have this next guest with us because we have weird things go on here. I'm even weird, but this is my first weirdo photographer. So I'm excited to get into what she knows and what she's doing. Jen Sulak. Am I saying it right?
Close enough. Shoelock.
Chulak. Okay, see? Okay. But you corrected me. I thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to keep it real on the podcast.
Yes. Absolutely. You got to keep it real. So tell us how you show up in the world. Really show up.
Well, I do have to tell you, this has been quite the adventure since being a wedding industry professional for about a total of 16 years as a wedding photographer. But
Right?
only in the last 3 years have I come out as Weirdo Weddings photography, believe it or not. I knew that nobody was doing this in the industry. Nobody is confident enough to say the word weirdo in that positive way, that I feel
Yes.
like the wedding industry needed somebody like me to just kind of step up and just say, you know what? There's a lot of weirdos out here, and we are
That's right.
internal weirdos as well as external
Yes.
weirdos.
That's
Um,
right.
you may
Yes,
or
you
may not
are.
know where we are. Um, but here's the thing about weddings in general. A lot of couples are like, they're getting to the point now where they just want to get married the way they are, the way they want to
Yes.
do it. And
Yes.
without a 20-point checklist of here's the things that you need to do at your wedding, it's kind
Right.
of like, here's the things that I want to do at my wedding.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Weirdo Weddings is just like another amazing accomplishment of, extension really of the wedding
Yeah.
industry saying,
Yeah.
do the things that you want to do on your wedding
Right.
day. So that's me as a
Yeah.
wedding photographer, is just supporting that and just
Yeah.
capturing all those wonderful moments.
Oh, that's nice. That's really beautiful, and it shows how sensitive you are to differences, and that's really what it's all about. Is bringing the creative out in people, because we're all creative, but you bring out the creative in them. That's really marvelous. I love it. Love it. So tell us how you got started. How did you get started? Like, how did it just pop into your mind?
Right? This is one of those things that a lot of us have talked about, the pandemic and how it completely rocked our world,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
this is how my pandemic went. Potty training my child, and then having a Weirdo Weddings baby in the summer of 2020, because
Oh
when events and in-person events were stripped from us, we didn't know what to do in the
yes.
weddings and events industry.
Yeah.
So, and I thought to myself, well, I could do what every other photographer is doing, or I could do something new and different, which I feel like I've been doing all along for the last
Right.
13 plus years, was
Right.
already working with really quirky and creative people. So the only thing I did is I gave it a name. Like, I feel like giving it a name gave me something to
Mhm.
walk into that was already waiting for me. And I think that's what was exciting about it. Was exciting and devastating in the pandemic to be completely shut
Right.
down, right? Like,
Right.
we had to soul search, we had to think, we had to really address the state of the world and the state of our
Yeah.
city, the state of our
Yeah.
state,
Yeah.
everything that was going on in our world at the time. And I thought to myself, what do I have to lose by extending my brand, I guess you could
Mhm.
say. I've already
Yeah.
been Pink Light Images for 13 plus years. And
Uh-huh.
I thought to myself, what if I extend my brand to Weirdo Weddings, knowing that I've already been working with weirdos this whole time? Like, I mean, seriously. And a friend of mine started a convention. Literally, we call ourselves weirdos. I mean, it's just, that's all we do. Is we're artists, we're weirdos,
Yes. Yes.
acknowledge how quirky we are, we think
Yeah.
differently, we love looking at the world. And we actually, it's not just about how we look at the world, it's how we
Right.
embrace everybody else looking at the world too.
Yes. That's
Like, we
that's
we
great.
don't all have to see it at the same way, but it's like
Mhm.
that community really, really ignited something in me that helped me take this into the wedding industry as a whole, because this idea is
Mhm.
off the beaten path.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, what in the world was I thinking when I came up with this name? Well, it was really easy to name it, but now I have to claim it, right? Like, it's like,
Yes.
this is my
Yes.
claim. This is what I'm standing up in. A friend of mine said, I'm planting a flag down. This is my flag for this is the
That's it.
beacon for all the people that
That's
are looking
right.
for somebody like me
Yeah.
that is a weirdo that just loves to let people be who they are.
Yes.
No matter what you are, no matter who you are, no matter
Hmm.
what you look like, no matter what you
Yeah.
want your wedding to look like. A
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of the misconceptions that comes with weirdo weddings is that they all have to be kind of like crazy, thematic, over the top. And I'm like, no, no,
Right.
no, no. You have no idea how many weirdos out there just want to go to the courthouse because they don't
Yeah.
want to be seen in public. Or you
Right.
have folks that don't even want to do their vows in public. They just want to kind of like
Okay.
run off and get married and be done. Um,
Right.
so I love the fact that always have to think about now that I've named it, now I have to talk about it a lot. So
Yeah.
this is a great
Yes. Yes.
exercise in
That's
talking
it.
about my weirdos.
Yes. You have to, and you have to do that. I love how you're taking up space. I always talk about to any of my clients is take up your own space. Don't just be like in the industry or
Yeah.
in this. Take up space. Own your space and like your friend said, you put the stake down. This is where I am, but you're owning. You're literally grabbing onto that because you can put a stake down and claim the space, but I mean, you're right. You're just like in it, like you're all in it. Like you're in it. Like you're just
I
moving
am
all in it.
owning it. Yeah, I am owning
Yes.
it. I'm 3
Yes.
years in. I'm just owning it.
Yeah, and that's really, really important is owning your space because all of us have a space. We just got to find it sometimes, through the skills that we have, and work with them. But I love how you're just in there. You're just in there. You're like you're a balloon, but all that air is you. It's all you. How do when you come upon, let's take the first example you had, right? They just want to get married at the courthouse. Now you're the photographer. Explain your creativity around getting them set to take pictures.
A lot of what I end up doing is asking my clients what they're into. If there's certain things that they're nerdy about, I love
Right?
incorporating that kind of style. But I
Gotcha.
also love stepping back and just letting them be who they are and showing up as
Okay.
they are. And
Right.
I feel like in the photography aspect, I can just show up and capture them as they are some days where I don't even need a Pinterest board. I don't need a mood board to tell me
Right.
what they want. They just want somebody to just be there and capture as they're going through it. And I've
Right.
had countless courthouse weddings is a great example because a lot of people
Right.
think courthouses are boring and ugly.
Yeah, no, they're not.
To a point, I do think that some
Yes.
courthouses are a little, they're
Yeah.
not the greatest to look at.
Yeah.
However, when you bring in a photographer like me who wants to see beyond that boring courthouse
Yeah.
flooring, let's just be honest, some of those carpets are a little crazy. But let's
They
just
are.
say that you're getting married at a courthouse in a city that you enjoy desperately as
Mhm.
a couple. You enjoy the neighborhood. You go out to the local restaurants, you go out to the local parks, and you want to enjoy that as part of your wedding ceremony. So the
Gotcha.
courthouse does not take that long. So what
Okay.
I do as a creative is I come in and say, what's important to you? What do you feel like around the city that is important to you that you want to capture in these lifestyle types of moments?
All
And
right.
I love that my couples are not afraid to be who they are. And I sometimes only have to do minimal coaching before they're like, yes, I enjoy this, this, and this, and let's go photograph this, this, and this with us enjoying that together. So I
Nice.
think that, no matter what couple I'm working with, as long as they're open with who they are and what they enjoy, it makes my job so much easier when they're already in love and they just
Yeah.
want to run around the city together. For me, I'm in the Dallas area, but this applies
Okay.
to any city.
Right.
Any city I've ever visited and traveled to, my couples love exploring and enjoying the things that they love to do.
Great. Great. What's
Yeah.
one of the places that stands out in your memory, about one of your clients, that you've traveled to?
Oh my gosh. Oh. So traveling is a great teacher. Let me just tell you that much. I love the fact that I had clients take me all the way to MIT, believe it or
Wow.
not, Boston, Massachusetts. They
Mm-hmm.
got married at a little chapel there at MIT, which I did not know existed until they
Right.
called me up. And I'm such a mid-century modern kind of person.
Okay.
It was a beautiful architectural moment for me as a
Right.
photographer and appreciator
Uh-huh.
of good architecture, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I love the fact that they were so offbeat enough that they found this idea of getting married in this mid-century modern chapel on the MIT campus.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that that was very memorable for me because it was a very memorable client. They just did whatever they
Right.
wanted. And they
Right.
called their wedding party
Mm-hmm.
Avengers. And I was like,
Ah.
well, if you're Avengers, I feel like I have to get you little capes. And so
Yeah.
I got everybody little capes for a photo shoot and they took them off. But I was like,
Nice.
everybody got little miniature capes to wear for our photos before the wedding. And it
Yeah.
was just super special. And that's one of many, but like that's the first one that comes to mind as far as
Right.
amazing clients mixed with amazing architecture and location. And the fact that I
Wonderful.
do travel for my work as well whenever possible.
Right.
It just gives me joy to find people where they are, no matter what
Yeah.
state, city they
Yeah.
are.
Right.
And get to know them a little bit better and
Yeah.
where they live, right? And how
Yeah.
they live their
Mm-hmm.
life.
Right.
So I just have wonderful couples. It's endless
Yeah.
stories of wonderful couples.
That's beautiful. Can you share with my audience? Because I know that all the beauty's great. It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
great. It's lovely. But one of your challenges you had during this span of time as a photographer, and then especially around when you shifted gears to become your own brand with Weirdo Weddings, what was one of the challenges?
I think one of the challenges is always going to come up, and it's the pushback you get from friends and family when you want to do it your way. And
Oh, that's good.
a lot of the times, me as the photographer, I'm sort of the mediator between the two.
Right,
And just to give you an example, like I had a couple that really did want to do like say fairy wings or elf ears, right?
right,
I'm all about that. Like I go to the
right,
Renaissance festivals. I'm very much into the whimsical characters of the
right.
world, but a lot of it tends to go back to family and friend pushback when they want to be
Hmm.
thematic. So
Okay.
that's one thing in general that I find that comes
Hmm.
up a lot is having
Okay.
to help them navigate how to make it a great event and also satisfy what they want in the photography. So
Gotcha.
it's like sometimes I feel like you almost have to do two different photo shoots in a way. Like if you want to be super thematic, then we do it a
Hmm.
portion of the day. And if you
Right,
want to satisfy your family, then you don't get married with your elf
right.
ears and your um
Yes, get it.
I
I
do
get
feel
it.
like I agree that whoever is putting in the money for the wedding should have a
Right.
say. You know, if it's the parents, if it's a
Yeah.
caretaker of
Yeah.
somebody who's your adopted mom or dad, that if they're paying for it, then we should listen to them. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to be like, let the couple do what they want. They really have a great
Right.
idea and let's go do it.
Right. Yeah. 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 I get it.
Oh.
And being part of a tradition, sometimes people want, hey, I want a picture that they put up, and I don't have to explain all the time. What are those ears?
Yes.
What
And
are
I
these
totally
capes?
understand that perspective too. Like I
Yeah.
am a little bit old school with a little bit new school. So it's
Yeah.
like I know what it's like to want to have that really nice portrait of your family and
Yeah.
whoever's getting married on the wall and or in a book, and you really
Right.
want to have what they looked like and felt like in that moment. But I also
Yeah.
understand the whimsical side of I want to get
Yeah.
married like this.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. How do you, as a unique business, find your clients?
Oh, this is a very loaded question. Because I feel
I
like
love loaded. Love it.
it's an ongoing process of,
Okay.
like I told y'all in the beginning, it's something I stepped into that I've already been working with. But I
Okay.
feel like the way we speak to people and the words that we use matter quite a bit. As far as if you're a nerd about something, a show or a movie or any kind of thing that you really nerd out about, you want to use that type of language when you're talking to your potential clients.
Gotcha.
And when you're talking to them about what you offer and how you can connect with them on their nerdiness is
Mm-hmm.
how I approach this. Is because
Mm-hmm.
like I may not be a nerd, like a hardcore nerd about say Lord of the Rings, but I will
Right.
support you on everything from Mordor to the Shire because I
Right.
understand the totality of the nerddom or the fandom.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I'm not nerdy about every single thing, but I think what my superpower is that I come in and support you on what you're nerdy about.
That's
There's a
good.
lot of things,
Good.
because that's where the artist side of me comes in. If I'm very
Right. Right.
artistic and idea centered about designing your wedding day,
Um,
then I'm thinking
mhm.
about what would you do if you had a Wizard of Oz wedding? What would you do if you
Right.
had a Beetlejuice wedding or a Lord of the Rings wedding or just a Renaissance festival wedding? There's
Right.
so many different ways you could go that's thematic, but also fun and enjoyable for everybody. And it's for me
Right.
as the photographer, I want to capture everything about that. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you've made stuff, there's so many of my couples that make their own things and they
Mm-hmm.
make their outfits or they make their favors. Um,
Right.
or, in my community, we also do a lot of hand fastings. So there's a lot of cords that are involved with the hand fastings of the arms together, where they make
Mm-hmm.
their own cords and then they have a whole ceremony just based on that. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so I just love the fact that I feel like I can encourage people to just be creative and
Mm-hmm.
then come in behind that and photograph whatever they've done, if that makes
That
sense.
makes, it absolutely does make sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. Can you share with my audience what you would say to, anyone? Let's say a younger person who's starting out and really wants to be a photographer, but
Yeah.
maybe may not have the equipment. May not have the
Yeah.
equipment. Share with them like what they could do to start getting that sharpening that creative eye. How about that?
Well, I'll tell you this much. When I started, I didn't even know you
Mhm.
could do this as a career. Honestly, I had no idea.
Okay.
I got
Right.
married in 2005, 18 years ago, and that's
Okay.
kind of when the journey started for me. The digital world now is so amazing that if you're a photographer and you have an idea, that this is really
Hmm.
calling to you because there's a variety of different ways of photography you can jump into. But I'm always going to say it's not about your gear, it's about you stepping out with your eye.
Oh,
Whatever
that's
eye
good.
that you have, whatever vision
That's
that you
good.
have, however you
Hmm.
can capture the vision is where your
Right.
power is. It's not about the equipment. If I had a dime for everybody that says, "Oh, well, my camera's just not good enough," and I was like, "That's not what's making it happen. It
Yeah.
is your
That's
eye."
good.
Meaning that my 5 megapixel camera,
Hmm.
like when I was shooting that, like 2005, 2006, it was my point of view that stood out. It wasn't how many megapixels I
That's
had.
good. Oh, that's good.
So,
That's
yeah, I
really
think
good.
it's important for all the newbies out there, if you
Hmm.
are going to get into photography of any kind, just understand that everybody's going to be saying, get this gear, get this gear. I'm
Hmm.
just going to say, find out what works for you, no matter what brand it is.
Right.
And mine just happens to be like Canon. But
Hmm.
whatever brand it is for you, whatever technology works for you, go ahead and pursue that, because if it's something that keeps calling to you in the middle of the night and you're like, I need to go
Hmm.
do this thing, then you probably need to go do that thing.
Right. Right. Right.
And it doesn't even matter if you start off. I started off in architecture. Architecture does not talk
Oh,
back
that's
to
good.
you. You don't have to be,
No, it does
still
not.
life. You don't have to worry about still life. Still life's not
Yes.
going to like yell at you because you did something wrong.
Right.
It's a long journey that took me into the wedding industry, and
Hmm.
it's there's so many different facets of photography you can explore, and I would
Right.
encourage you to be an explorer of
Right.
these things if it calls out to you creatively. Be an
Okay.
adventurer. I like to think about some parts of my life are like Indiana Jones. Like you're looking for things that are important and you're on the adventure, and it could be a dark and in a jungle. It could have an
Hmm.
unknown path in front of you, but I think the journey is worth it when it calls to you. And especially if you have an eye, these are
Right.
the kinds of things that you need to leap out and do it. Just leap out and do it.
We
We're
probably
in
do
this
it.
great space of society where we can actually leap out and do more things we could ever do because of
Mhm.
technology.
Right.
and
That's good.
especially digital technology and
Hmm.
cameras. It has come such a long way. So I would encourage you,
Yeah.
if you're a newbie, go
Yeah.
explore a little bit and think
Right.
about what you want to do and write it down on paper and
Really. Okay. That's
and
good.
really explore it. Yeah,
Yeah.
explore it. Like
That's
let
good.
yourself explore it. Especially if you were like me, having the full-time job and then doing
Hmm.
it on the side for a while,
Hmm.
that's a good place to be because you can explore in what you want to do versus what you
Right.
have to do.
Right. How long did it take you from the shift from having a full-time job to doing this on the side? How long did it take you to shift into that?
It was probably 1 to 2 years of
Okay.
doing it on the side where I felt comfortable
Okay.
to leap into it full time. And even then, it took me 3 months to get used to that because being an entrepreneur and working for somebody else is two different worlds.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you haven't grown up around somebody who's an entrepreneur or who has started their own business,
Hmm.
you have a lot of a learning curve. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of a learning curve. Now, again, the world is different now,
Yeah.
18 years later. A lot of us have started our own businesses.
Right.
But when you don't have somebody in your life who has started a business, get yourself around other people that have started businesses
Yeah.
because they can easily get you acclimated to what it's like as a mindset because
Hmm.
it is a shift. It's a
Yep.
shift to being your own boss. And if
Hmm.
anybody's like me out here, like where you're like had a hard time in the beginning,
Hmm.
because it's time
Yes.
management,
Yes.
goals, meeting people. I'm
Yes.
very much in between the introvert and extrovert world where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, I've got to talk to people. You know, it's one of
You
those
gotta
things.
talk to people. You gotta talk to
It's
people.
one of those things
Yes.
where sometimes introverts do make the best business owners, but
Hmm.
the socialization part can get exhausting depending on your personality type. And I want y'all to hear me when I say that your personality is exactly what it needs to be. Please don't change for somebody else. And
Yeah.
please don't try to conform to the
Yeah.
standards of these
Right.
checklists because
Uh-huh.
even though I am one way, it doesn't mean I haven't changed over the years. I was
Yeah.
very shy in
Hmm.
school
Hmm.
to like being very somewhat people oriented now
Yeah. Yeah.
because I have this balance of too many peopling or too less peopling. And I
Yeah.
like falling right in the middle where I
Yeah.
can
Me
be
too.
around just enough people to energize me and keep
Yeah.
going and just inspire people. I'm always inspired by others
Yeah.
and just their life stories and their
Yeah.
creative stories. But yeah, for everybody needing to pursue this, your personality plays into a lot of your business style too.
Hmm.
And be okay with that. Be okay with who
Yeah.
you are as a business owner. And if you don't know
That's
how to
great.
do it, start learning how to delegate the things you can't do or won't do.
Ooh, that's good. You are talking my
I
language.
know. I
Love
know.
it, love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Audience, do you hear this? Do you
Yes.
hear what Jen is saying? It's so good. Good stuff. Networking. I love how you talked you said, you weren't always like that. Neither
Yeah.
was I. I
I've
will tell you
changed.
somebody. Yeah, and somebody called me, said, "I know you." Like, and so we went to school together. She's saying, "You, I want to know. I see you on Facebook, and I see you doing all this great stuff. I want to know the kid that I knew in eighth grade that wouldn't talk to anybody is now like this amazing person that's going all over and doing all these things. How did it happen? How did it take place?" And we must have talked for like 2 hours, but you grow into it. You really grow into it. It's almost like I do get tired. Let me tell you, I want to tell you this before I
Yeah.
forget. Jen, I get tired of people sometimes. It's like, okay, time to shut everybody off and
Yep.
everything.
Walk
I get
away.
tired of them. I was like, no more.
Walk
No
away.
more. I don't want it. It's like, no. So I do get into my introvert time where I want to be at home, have a cover. I don't even want to read anything. I honestly don't even want to look at things that will words or anything like that. I don't want anything. I just want to be alone. I just want to be just alone and just like relax.
Yeah.
So I get that. And I love that you talk about growing into this. So many times as women, we code. So whatever the standard people tell us to get into, we get into. we get into that mode, or that, we just play the role, and then we burn out after a while because we're playing such a big role and making those, going by those check marks. So Jen is saying this today: stop it, don't do it.
Know
Just
who
be
you
yourself.
are. I was gonna
Yeah,
say, like, one of the biggest things we could ever learn is know who we are
yeah, that's good.
and
That's
know
really
how
good.
we work, because
Yeah,
it's gonna change. It's probably going
yeah,
to change after years and years.
yep,
Again, been doing this for 16 plus years now.
yeah.
I really, really think I have honed in onto a lot of
Me
what I
too.
enjoy about my
Me too.
work. And I
Me
don't want
too.
to say job, but
Yeah,
career. And
yeah,
my career doesn't just involve photography, it
yeah,
involves the arts. It
yeah,
involves podcasts like this.
yeah,
It
yeah,
involves speaking to people and connecting to
yeah,
people
yeah.
and making art with each other and just all these things that
Yes.
if you do for me, if I do too much of one thing, I know I'll
Mhm.
burn out. And I think
Yeah,
that's important as we go on in this world, is that realize when you're starting to burn out
yeah.
and
Very
try
important.
to see it for what it is, and then start working towards a solution to not get burned out
Yeah,
and have some
absolutely.
fun in this life. I've been talking a
Yes,
lot
I'm about
about
it. I'm about that fun.
I've been talking a lot about, like, a lot of people have asked me, "Do you even like your life?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, now I do." It's like one of
Yeah,
those things, like,
yeah,
what are you working towards
yeah.
to enjoy your life? And if you're working so
Absolutely.
hard, you're never enjoying your life.
There you go.
I have this problem of not being able to, um, it's a skill I'm working on. Some of these are skills that you can work
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
of
absolutely.
actually sitting down and just looking at your year objectively. What did you
Yes,
do? What do you feel you did good? And celebrate it. It's really easy,
yes,
but it's
yes,
hard when you
yes.
want to
It
just do
is. It
something.
is. It
So,
really is. It really is. Celebration is hard. Celebrating ourselves as women,
yes,
anyway, is very, very hard.
very
Very hard.
hard.
Yeah,
Very hard. And I
very
just
hard.
got an award this week in the mail from my company
Oh,
I work with. I work
congratulations.
with a PR company where I talk with a
Mhm.
lot of publications, and I put a lot of input into articles and things for the wedding industry, and they gave me an award, a trophy. It's the most cheesiest,
Oh,
wonderful thing
nice.
ever, because
Right.
when you're a solopreneur and you're a
Yeah.
solo worker and you have zero coworkers, that's just you and your business, what are you gonna do? Pat yourself on the back? I mean,
You
but when
gotta do that. You just really gotta like reach back. I mean, I found myself doing that too. I was like, hey, I don't have anybody around. So, even if you tell somebody like, I didn't know that, and it takes away from the, yay, let's do this. So
yeah,
I get excited. I just get excited about doing something. And then I'll go out and treat myself. Oh, let me go to Starbucks or something and sit
yeah,
like I'm, the queen or something. And like, celebrate it. You have to celebrate.
something
That's so
special.
important. Very important.
So important. Like, I have not been good at it, and I'm looking to get better at that.
Yes.
I've
Get
already
better.
put it I need to put it in my calendar actually to sit down
Yes.
and look at my year and say, "Jen, I want you to be excited about what you have done, not what you've not
Yes.
done, what you failed
Right.
on, but look at
Right.
what you have done in the
Yes.
time that you were given for this
Absolutely.
2023 year when we're recording this." And then, looking forward to 2024, because I feel like our
Yes.
outlooks for 2023 kind of propels us into the next year, right?
Yes,
Like,
it
whatever
does. Yes,
year
it
that we're
does.
in, if we look
Yes.
at it at a negative aspect, if we didn't fulfill all the things, if we didn't do all the checklists, I would like to challenge y'all to have a forgiveness list instead of
Woo!
a resolution list, because
Yes.
you need to forgive yourself for the things that you may have fallen short on, and forgive
Yeah,
yourself for the things that you may have let somebody down on, but knowing
that's
that
right.
that's not your identity.
Yes.
It's
And
not
I
your
will add to that list, instead of doing resolutions, do a review of what you've done. Just like you said, do a review of your year and see the celebrations. And that's what you celebrate, because and then you'll know, hey, this is what I did this year. I am popping. Like, I'm doing it. I'm really doing it. And
There
but I
is
forgive
something
myself for
about that.
letting showing some, some I forgive somebody, not letting a
Yeah.
so and so down. You go through the list, but it looks different. It feels different, right? It
It
would
feels
feel
so much
different.
lighter when you can
Yeah.
forgive yourself for anything you
Yes.
may have forgotten to forgive yourself for.
Right.
And I've been talking
Exactly.
about it for weeks
Exactly.
of like, okay, I want to walk into 2024 without regret. I want to walk into
Yeah.
2024 without things that are on my shoulders that don't need to be there. And I think I'm in this
Right.
place of like, it's just so nice to be in this place of recognizing what is really important
Yeah.
versus what everybody tells us is important.
That's important.
It's
Yeah.
very
That's
important
good.
to just be like,
Yeah. That's good.
listen to your inner voice versus the 5,000
Yes.
voices telling you what to do. And I think you'll find yourself in a place of much more peace than you ever, like your sign behind you. Your sign behind you says peace. I
Yes.
want to walk into 2024 with more peace than I've ever
Yes.
had in my life.
Yes. Yeah. I am so excited that I'm excited for your energy. I will tell you, I love it. Um, it's exciting to meet someone that's really embracing where they are and who they are and what they want. I
Yes.
am totally excited about that. And this brings us to the end of the show. Is there anything that you could say that you haven't said, that you dropped so many jewels? We're still picking them up. We're still picking them up. So, is there anything you could say to the audience and send us out with more goodness? Is there anything else?
I'm going to send you out with this today. And I've been challenging so many people with this simple exercise.
Okay.
Is that if you are hiding who you really are,
Ooh,
one of
that's
the
good.
first steps that you can take is to be bold and get out on social media and share one thing about you that nobody ever knew or you haven't shared with anybody because you were too ashamed to share.
Ooh, that's
I
great.
really think that there is power in being vulnerable with people. You don't have to go deep and dark, but you can go with something fun and
Yeah.
light. Share with
Yes.
them what's important to you and what you're
Yeah.
doing in your life right now as far as projects. Any project is important, especially if it involves your voice.
Yeah.
Please get out there and share one thing on your chosen
That's great.
social media avenue and share
That's
something
great.
about yourself that is very unique and special to just you, because I guarantee you, your niche needs you.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, I am not going to touch that. Not touching it. Okay. This is
Yes.
Edna White, your host on Keeping It Real on Purpose, with my guest here today, Weirdo Weddings, Jen. Thank you for being here today.
I'm so
And we
glad
are
to be here.
signing off. Thank you guys so much. See you next time around.
Bye, y'all.